Oh, well, it looks as though you're there and I'm here. God, this is very meta. Is that allowed? Normally, YouTube likes to scare us after death. Hello. Welcome to our Who Night. Get your popcorn, get the lights out. Let's have our sci fi seance, full of first impressions and kickback and emotion. And remember, to make this night digest well for your supper, we have new tasty items. What the F? And that might take a while tonight. We've got the Broke Hack Bingo, the Night Terrors, the Matrix Metrics, and the RTD Rescue Roadmap. And I think there's a few plot holes we might want to mention tonight as well. So get your sleeping bag out. If you're in Britain, knuckle down. Here we go. Lots of fun to be had tonight. And I've got a panel all fired up, I tell you. So it should be fun. This is the Who Night. You're welcome aboard. Let's take a spin in the TARDIS to the distant future, eh? Never. It's back to present day, isn't it? One tip. I won't be Davros tonight. Hashtag, now, should I have unit lies? Should I have hashtag demand the truth? Or should I have hashtag I stand with unit? Oh my God, it's all hashtags. What about the RIP Doctor Who one? That might be one to go for still. So let's see who we've got on here. Straight away, where's the lads? Well, straight away, let's go all the way to the US of A. Hiya, Christian.
Howdy.
Oh, I'm dying to talk about this one. Mind you, this is every week. RTD is the gift that keeps giving.
It doesn't stop. It does not stop.
Oh, and I'm fired up, folks. Just you wait. Oh, and of course, Sunny Waffles. Hello, good to see you. And of course, you'll bring a bit of chill to the debate.
If you say so, Captain Sunny Waffles. But I'm here to tell the truth about this episode with my granddads and my uncles as the young gun. I got you guys today.
Yeah, you were trying to hypnotize us last week, saying, "Oh, the well was all."
I gotta tell you the truth. That's RTD's hypnotism. Not a lot in this episode.
And then, if anybody in Britain is falling asleep, our next guest, that it never happens. It's Boomer Doug. Here he is. Hello,
Captain Boomer Doug here. Just lifting my fashion game because of Sunny Waffles. I want to be a cool grandpa. So hello. I've just woken up. I got bedhead. So here we go.
Right.
Well, good to see you.
Oh yeah. Oh, here we go. I'm loving it.
And we've got a newbie on tonight, all the way from Liverpool. So we better say hello to him. Here he is. And he's got a hat.
Yeah, I decided I needed one. I couldn't be left out because I'm not.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Oh well, I'm sure.
I think Sunny started something fantastic.
I'll get my cover out this rate. Well, good to see everybody. And John Yulden has been a very pleasant and generous guy at the same time. He'll be with me tomorrow, probably at midday, talking about the ratings. Thank you for the super chat. Have a great show, guys. Like and subscribe, everyone. And thank you, John, as well for that. Thank you. There's a lot to talk about in this show. And my God, are we going to get going on it, aren't we, lads? But just let's tease the audience for 1 second only. You know I don't hang around with that one. But if I went around the panel and just said, without going into detail, just where do you stand on it? Good, bad? How did you feel when it finished? Divan and Dragon.
I'm going to steal a word that Doug so graciously granted me, which is jarring. And there were a number of elements within the episode that were jarring, and I stand by that. It puts it mid to low mid tier for me in terms of count.
Okay, Sunny, Mr. Chilled, where are we going with it?
It's bad, but it is the second best episode of season 2. It's bad.
Okay, so if everybody can just knuckle down, you see, what's going to happen here is it might be the best of a bad bunch, but my God, there's a lot to say. Anthony, what would you say? Good, bad, ugly on this one?
I was enjoying it for what it was, and then halfway through, I kind of got the politics of it and went the other way a bit. So I'll go for bad in the end.
It was ever thus with RTD, yeah? And Doug, your thoughts on the good, the bad, the ugly of Doctor Who?
I think I might be the outlier here. Yes, there were some jarring moments, and some of which were very unforgivable, but I really enjoyed it. I had fun with it.
Oh well, we'll sort him out. No, so so as you know, folks, we can only start with what the F. So shall we get into it?
Dear?
Yeah, let's get into it. Here
Sarah
we go.
Jane?
Is this death? It's the end, but the moment has been prepared for.
What have I just seen? I don't believe it. I cannot believe my eyes.
Yes, what the F, as they say. So, let's see where we can go first. Okay, so Divine and Dragon. Now remember, what the F can be awesome, and it can also be on the downside. So, where are you going to go with that, Divine and Dragon?
I would say the problem is in terms of jarring, the blatant politicization of the character Conrad and the message that was being rammed down the viewers' throats. I found that very unpalatable. One of the things that I keep returning to is there a deal breaker? Is there an element in the story that destroys my suspension of disbelief? And the moment that starts, it's game over. So what could have started as a strong story, and I was actually leaning more on the idea of a relationship building and then going somewhere. And then when Conrad turned around and was on the wrong side of things, I expected hopefully a form of redemption arc for the character. There was nothing of the sort. It was, hey, someone who believes this way is quantifiably evil, and I'm going to force everyone viewing it to see it through that lens. And I'm thinking that's what the heck are you thinking? You want to ingratiate yourself with an audience with that kind of narrative? Bad move.
Bad move, Sonny.
All right, I'm gonna shout out I'll read the Thomas McCarthy comment. I like that comment because he said it was so bad it wasn't good. I thought it was so bad it was good, but only because my what the F moment was the wheelchair girl. It was the climax basically where the wheelchair lady she goes, "Hey, why don't you give him a compliment?" And then she just continues to berate the guy. She's just trying to hurt his feelings, Conway's feelings. And I'm like, what are we doing here? And then what happened? Then she says, "I'm glad the doctor's not here because he would stop me from doing this." That's when I was like, what? She's the villain.
I'll tell you what.
I was literally screaming, what the F?
Now, this is just a warm-up thread, so obviously I'm going to have lots of evidence, but it's just nice to just get the taste of it because, my God, there's detail ahead. Super John, 8 minutes in, it seemed like Doctor Who, then it fell apart and got really boring. This seems to be one of the problems with Doctor Who at the moment. It can't be cohesive and consistent for 45 minutes. That's all we ask. Seeing a child slapped across the face to begin with was jarring, says Paul Richards, but he turned out to be the villain. So yeah, suddenly it's all very different. Cybermat Strikes, good to see you. I was disappointed that when Conrad revealed Think Tank that he didn't declare a family connection with Kettlewell or Hilda Winters and had the K1 robot ready to take down Unit Tower. I'll be asking about that later because, Think Tank, yeah. So, Doug, and what the F?
Okay, I agree with everything that everybody said, but what the F was good. Maybe I'm just a thicko, but I didn't see Conrad being a baddie coming, and that really got me. I was, but bear in mind when we watch this, this is a raw response. I've only seen the show twice, so this is not a critique. I was really what the F. I thought he's a baddie, and that worked for me. I'm sorry, I really enjoyed it. But I agree with what everyone else has said. There are lots of holes, as we'll talk about as the show progresses.
All right, before Anthony comes in, go on, Sonny.
I want to help defend Doug here. You're right. It wasn't set up at all that Conway should be a baddie. You're 100% right. That wasn't there at all. He shouldn't have been.
No, absolutely.
So your thoughts, Anthony, or anything on what the F?
Yeah, I'm the same as Divine in Dragon. It was the politics of it. When that sort of dawned on me I don't know at what point, maybe 25 minutes in, I thought, this is really punching down. It's not like a lot of good science fiction, good Doctor Who is like attacked authority always. But this really was like, listen to authority, trust the science, if you like. Only listen to this information, approved information, no alternatives. That was it, really, for me. And then when the Doctor came in at the end, he just reinforced that whole narrative.
Oh, did he ever?
Well, I've got loads of what the F items for us to debate now. Just so everybody can understand in the thread and who's viewing, I don't want my panelists tiny when I have a slide on. The snag is it's defaulted. I'm glad we're live, but it's defaulted. So I apologize to everybody. I'm not doing that deliberately, which is why I keep coming back to this. But we will get on with some of these what the Fs that I picked out, and obviously it might remind you of some that we need to talk about. So here we go. So look, I can't start anywhere else, lads, apart from that TARDIS scene at the end. I think this could be, you could do dissertations on this, you could do theses on this. Honestly, this in many ways could be the most divisive thing. I know Problem Bean was talking to me just before the show, and I think there's a lot of people will be fired up about this. And yet, I will say, look, what the F, that's the best this TARDIS interior has looked. I mean, the direction there, the music, I love the way it set it up from the prison cell. So, I mean, I can't just say, by the way, I'm just going to nitpick at everything. I actually thought, oh my God, that's how to show that TARDIS. The angles. The director was doing a good job. I love the music. For once, I like all those doors and everything. It seems to work. And yes, I'm going to pick on a lot of things to do with this. I don't like the TARDIS suddenly just zapping him into the TARDIS. But however, that's not the main issue here. My main, the F is obviously coming. And it's on this head-to-head. And so I will just show bits at a time. And please then come in, lads, because as the thread are going to do, this is, I think, for every Doctor Who fan, a make-or-break moment. So we started with, the Shriek is back in its hive. No need to thank me. I mean, as I said, the Doctor is not an Uber driver, is he? He has resorted to that lately, just a glorified taxi driver, a dad picking up the kids sort of thing, a foster carer. He's like a social worker. And now he seems to be doing this service where basically he wants a please and thank you for everything he does uninvited. Yeah, nice one. So since when did he ask anybody else for a thank you? But anyway, that's not the main game. Now, this bit, lads, I'll just read this out and then I'm interested. You have to be invited into my TARDIS, Conrad, to be special. But you're special for all the wrong reasons. Now, if I just said, lads, before you come in, so many problems with just this bit. Number one, that's a load of rubbish. I mean, people have sneaked into the TARDIS, Egan. Where do you start with that one? Yeah. But the next thing is, you have to be special. And I think the metaphor here is there are fans that we're happy to have in fandom, and there are fans we're not happy to have in fandom. And if you're not invited, hop it. Now, that's how I took it, Divine and Dragon.
I think that's a very fair assessment of that message. And it's counter to what we know about the character of the Doctor to begin with. But I don't think it's escaped anyone's knowledge that RTD has made an art form out of attacking the very people that give this series continued life. What can I say?
Yeah. Did it get anyone else fired up on this bit?
Definitely. That's where I mentioned it was particularly jarring when I was talking to Chris about it. And that whole bit about him telling him, how old he was going to be when he was going to die and stuff. I mean, the Doctor doesn't do that. That's not the Doctor.
I mean, I'll tiptoe to that if you want to. I mean, if you want, we can go bit by bit through this speech because I think there's triggering bits in all of it.
Yeah, I see all of this as he's clearly out of character Doctor talking, and he's trying to be a tough guy, right? He's trying to intimidate him. And then I was like, "Oh, okay, Doctor. Let's see where this goes." And I like the ending because Conway's my favorite villain now for this season for sure.
Rachel, as I come to you, Anthony, don't worry. Chat about it says, yes, the oppression style speech.
He's trying to tough guy, bully him.
Simon Anthony, I think, is talking about this, saying it was a joke. No, I don't think it was much of a joke. As an English teacher, I will honestly analyze this speech. That I didn't detect a joke. Mr. Squinty Mint, the TARDIS scene just sounded like the tacky soap opera posturing. The dialogue in this story is off the charts risible. So, Anthony, how did you take this bit in particular?
I think the Doctor's been nasty before. Well, I mean, I really like the thinking back the old Time Lord Victorious stuff. I think it might be going into a sort of take on that, which will just be a rip-off, really. I'm just thinking of like the ending of Human Nature, Family of Blood. Yeah. I've never liked that ending when he really kind of, I suppose, tortures the aliens. Although they sort of did, they sort of deserved it. But I didn't like the ending. I just thought it was out of character. Yeah. And maybe they're going in that direction with this. Yeah, but I still think it's really punching down because the Family of Blood aliens, they sort of deserved it. This guy was, I don't know. It's another topic, the characterization of the guy, because I think it was a bit all over the place as well.
It's just,
was he that bad, really?
I don't get this. I don't get this, your special stuff. Special good, special bad. The Doctor never thought like this. And I will find speeches this week. I will find the evidence. But this is our first impressions, so I'm not ready yet. Where basically the Doctor is inclusive. And there's even Rotters, even Omega felt sorry for him. The Master felt sorry for him. Davros felt sorry for him. Hepesh in Curse of Peladon felt sorry for him. Tried to talk to him. So many examples in Doctor Who where the Doctor, even though the person's a bit of a baddie or a real villain, still kind of talked them through and had a consideration. But this is saying deliberately, I am divisive, I am binary. You're with me or you're against me. And you're the wrong sort. And as a lot of people are saying in the thread already, it's not your TARDIS, mate. This is almost like it started to smell like, and I've never really used this verb with Doctor Who, that it's been captured, and suddenly he's going, these are the ones we allow in Doctor Who now, and I don't know, that was the vibe.
I agree. Yeah, that was the vibe.
I see it now because a big question I had about this episode was, why is Unit fighting podcasters? And now you're saying it okay, maybe this is about the fans, because I saw special as maybe the TARDIS brings special people. I didn't see that the first time, but now it does sound like that.
Well, here's my big question. I mean, this is a what the F about the what the F. If you get my gist, I'm going very kind of meta, but I think this is the question every streamer and fan should be asking tonight, which is, after watching that episode, whether you liked how it was made. I mean, there were bits of it I loved. I've just mentioned one of them. I think this was a Doctor-defining moment, whether we like it or not. At least he's been given one. So, there's a lot to talk about, but this is the question. The whole story was about somebody who screams. The whole story was about somebody who spreads rumors and conspiracies. That was it. It wasn't the Master wanted to take over the universe and shrink people. It wasn't Omega about to blight the whole cosmos with antimatter. Exactly. It wasn't anything like that. It wasn't Davros who wants only the Daleks to survive. It was a man, a human, a mortal, who spreads rumors and does some streaming. And the Doctor showed the most anger I have seen any Doctor when the man hadn't really, had he killed one person maybe? And that was it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Apart from him shooting his mate, which seemed really silly, they didn't show it, maybe the gun went off accidentally, he wasn't a villain, he was a dick. Basically, the Doctor was fighting a dick, not a bad guy. So, I thought the anger was way out of proportion.
I think you're out of proportion, Doug. He wasn't a jerk. He was a cool guy. This is the best villain we had in years.
Oh, I enjoyed him. Don't get me wrong. I love this episode.
What was he a dick about? What'd he do? I just don't understand his heel turn. But honestly, I want to continue dissecting this scene as well.
He was mean to Ruby. He led her on. He broke her heart. And he was a bad person, but he wasn't trying to destroy the world or anything.
This is what I mean. That the baddie seems to be what we'd call the rotter in a soap opera.
Yes,
the one who
yes.
has the affair. The one who that seems to be what he was. I mean, that was his level of villainy.
He was a cad. To use an old-fashioned term, he was a cad.
Exactly.
That was essentially it. Yeah.
Do we even know what his podcast was about? Like, did he extract information from Ruby and like deliver these fantastical stories? Because he didn't believe anything she said anyway, right?
Well, even that was a bit ambiguous.
Exactly.
No.
So how was he a jerk? Is my point, Doug. That's why I like that.
No, I think he was a jerk because of the way he treated everybody. He was just not a nice man, but it didn't make him a villain as such.
No,
he was
pretty nice dating Ruby.
Well,
Anthony.
Well, it's very strange that it started with his mum giving him a smack as well. So it kind of elicited sympathy for him. So I'm not quite sure where that was supposed to lead you, really.
I agree with that.
Make a lot of sense.
No.
Now keep an eye on whether we talk
So
over
psychological damage.
It can get tricky. People they're tuning in on lots of things. This is the beginning. Rachel said this is not her key bit, but I have to say I am triggered by a lot of this. The language is doing a lot of work here. As you know, Rachel, he slaves till 2 a.m. doing these scripts. And so special. I know it's written by Peter McTighe, but everything goes via you know who. So the next bit, you see, I am fighting. Now, the other thing I will say is this was the best acting I've seen from Ncuti as well. It was more pulled in.
Yeah.
It wasn't shouting. There was no crying in this episode.
No. He was trying to be tough. That's all.
Yeah. You see, I'm fighting a battle on behalf of everyday people who just want to get through their day and feel safe and warm and fed. And then along comes this noise. Now, if I just quickly said what my problem is this is a writer, I know it's Peter McTighe, saying that opposing viewpoints, contrary opinion is noise. Mm-hmm. That is an anti-democratic thought process by our doctor.
Mm. Mm-hmm. I concur. Brendan, you're using the word noise. It's a very dismissive term. There's no validation of alternate points of view. It's basically reducing a potential opinion to the barest possible meaning of sound vibrations. It means nothing. And that's very insulting. If you understand the implications of that term in this context, it's an insult, and it's designed that way.
Well, we've got
that's
problem
how I saw it straight up.
Yeah, sorry, Anthony. Go on. I've just got problem.
That's how I saw it. Really, it was. I know Davis didn't write it, but as you say, everything goes through him. It was his kind of people, his tribe, if you like, this sort of woke liberal totalitarians lashing out against anybody who opposes them. That's how I took it straight away.
Me too.
Problem being was really angry about this, and quite rightly in lots of parts, and I am too with this bit. Doctor Who should not be hateful and should not be a lecture telling its audience that they're all gullible idiots and to only trust these sanctimonious self-appointed grandees. It's elitism, and the Doctor never did stand for every everyday person. He just got on with the adventures and defended humanity in each of those kind of situations. Yeah. But he didn't ever do a blooming big speech. No. I have to say, you have to take New Who away from this. New Who has done the Space Jesus, the Pandorica when he stood on Stonehenge. Take that nonsense away, please, and get us back to that idea when the Doctor actually just got on with it and didn't do all the virtue signal talk. He just did it in deed. And this is all ended up in talk. I mean, it sounds like an amazing speech. It's like somebody should do... Didn't the master do this with Capaldi? He just went,
Yes. Yes.
I didn't listen to a word you said.
Mm.
That's exactly what it is.
That was brilliant. I
This
love
was
the
the
master when he
beginning.
did that.
Yeah, it's good.
So we're all, if you're on the wrong side of the debate, according to RTD, it's noise. I mean, how demeaning, how oppositional, how hateful, how divisive. And he continues all day long, this relentless noise. And then this is the key bit. I'm going to go big here so everybody can pick on it. Cowards like you weaponizing lies, taking people's
Yeah.
insecurity and fear and making it currency. You are exhausting. You stamp on the truth, choke our bandwidth, and shred our patience because the only strategy you have is to wear us down. Now, can I just say, I should have played a game here, not with you lot because you've watched it, but if you just listen to that speech, that could have been somebody like a progressive streamer. It could have been RTD. I have to say, it doesn't sound like Doctor Who
No.
because it's talking about
No.
2025. It's not talking about the the species and extraterrestrials. That sounds just like a. What does he say? I'm exhausted. The Doctor half the time isn't on planet Earth.
That's
Like
right.
he's streaming with them. Like he's a competitor streamer.
Yes. Yes.
I'd have to say this is interesting. We talk about projection. And one of the things that's very common is to see people projecting accusations that they themselves are guilty of. And the funny thing is, we here understand the position that RTD has socially, politically, in terms of his agenda. So you know where these words are coming from and to whom they are directed at. But at the same time, in reality, it's him giving a little slip. He's projecting some of what he does and accusing us of doing just that. He wants to wear us down with his propagandizing. Am I mistaken?
Yeah,
No.
he weaponizes lies. He lies with statistics, right? Doctor Who's ninth in Australia. We're fine. Mm-hmm.
But you see, this is not what the Doctor's all about. I mean, the Doctor had a speech in Trial of a Time Lord where he talks about, Sontarans, Cybermen, blah, 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 and then he slags off the Time Lords for being corrupt. That's as far as he goes. He gets a nice little speech like that. But, he doesn't normally get bogged down in parochial contemporary politics on Earth. And it's not politics of oppression. It's not politics of authoritarianism or fascism. He's just waffling on about streamers.
Opinions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's anti. Yeah, he's anti people
him.
having a voice. And streamers and people and YouTubers and people who have a phone and tweet and stuff, those are just the plebs. They're just the peasants of the past who now have a bit more of a voice than they ever did. And notice how the powerful people suddenly capture a show and say, "You lot, shut up." Wow, that's not Doctor Who.
No.
Yeah. There's been times in our recent history when some online streamers have been a better source of information than our governments and media. But it's lashing out at those people.
Well, and it's just that this is not escapism. This is bogging us down in politics today. I mean, if this gets repeated in 20 years' time, God knows how it would be received. Captain Have Fun, BBC didn't get credit for me watching, so I watch it. I wouldn't watch it if I don't get the, because everybody's arguing in the thread whether you should give them a view and whether it's worth it and all the rest of it. As John Yulden said here, this was filmed 2 years ago, basically, and they were already losing the argument, and now they've lost it. I mean, look, we've got Trump in America. Yes, Australia's voted in another left government. We've got a left government in Britain. But things are changing. I mean, there's a bit of pushback, say, on a few, issues in this country at the moment. So 2 years ago in politics is a long time for it to get so bogged down.
Yeah, I agree. It's already
I will,
dated, yeah.
I will continue. I can see that's not got anyone excited. So next one. But the thing is, Conrad, I have energy to burn and all the time in the universe, right? And then I mind it is a bit like the Master. Is this an intervention? Are you here to save my soul? You betrayed my friend. You've had plenty of friends, says Conrad. Now, this bit just made me laugh because the Doctor seems to get his knickers in a twist because you betrayed my friend. And I will just say as evidence, rogue. What friend? You couldn't give it that same woman you're now saying you betrayed my friend. You left her and went in the bushes with a man, so shut your bloody face.
Yeah. It's not like he came and saved the day or anything, though, so I don't know why he's mad. Like,
well, actually, this brings us back to a plot hole. If you stop and think about it, you've had plenty of friends. Okay, what does this mean? This means he knows about the backstory of the Doctor.
Exactly.
So if that's the case, then it gives the lie to him not believing in what unit has been fighting against. So it was one of those little plot holes that was slipped into this moment. I also, on a personal note, narratively speaking, did not like the fact that there is no redemption arc for the character. At this point, he has been reduced to a two-dimensional, mustache-twirling villain from the old school with no depth. And
are you talking about the Doctor, though? Why does Conway need a redemption arc? What did he do?
Well, there wasn't anything to do. That's why the story needed to go in a different direction.
Now look at his face, though. He's like, is this supposed to scare me? I didn't do anything, man. What'd I do? He's like, what you doing? He's like, look at him. He's like, so smug. I love it. I love this part. This is my favorite part.
I have to say, Doctor Who fans have to keep going back to, you have just seen the Doctor very, very angry, and he's angry over somebody using streaming platforms to say their opinion, whether it's right or wrong. It doesn't matter. It's called free speech. That's what the West is all about. But it's almost an anti-free speech message, which a lot of us in Britain are starting to understand now. I just think it's wow. And I come on, I like my politics, but I actually prefer Doctor Who. And where's the Doctor Who bit? But I will say overall, I loved the filming of the scene. It is one of the best Doctor Who scenes in RTD2's era.
It is.
I mean, beautiful. I mean, I've played it I don't know how many times tonight, obviously to get everything right, but also I love the music. I just love that shoot, the shots, the drama of it, and the two actors really went for it. I thought it really was good.
It was strong. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, but then of course, when they were talking about friends, he says, have you met Belinda Chandra yet? And of course, the other what the F is, we're doing timey-wimey now. He hasn't met her yet. So is she a plant? Is she a, what did everyone gather from that thinking, oh, here we go. It's a twist. He hasn't met Belinda Chandra. That's obviously a problem for him.
I feel like it's a twist that's not going to get a payoff. I think it was just throw. I mean, it was clear. It was clear at the beginning. It was just Belinda and the Doctor who bumped into the kid, didn't they? And gave him that thing that he hangs around his neck. And then, to be honest, I think that whole final scene could have just been omitted completely. It wasn't necessary. It was so superfluous to the whole thing. It wasn't necessary. It was beautifully lit. I think the TARDIS has never looked better. Yeah. And the two actors did play it really well, but. And I know we don't like the episodes being short, but that whole scene could have just been gone and nobody would have cared.
I don't know. I think that's the only bit people will remember, to be honest. I think that scene is the bit people remember.
That's a fair point.
Without it. I mean, I don't like the message of it, but it was quite well played. Although I don't think we've seen enough of Ncuti go in that direction to a really in a kind of bad boy thing.
Yeah, that was jarring.
It's jarring, like you say, yeah. And if
Now,
it's
this
suddenly
is-
going to go off in that direction, or it's just going to be forgotten about, either way, it's going to be
Now,
pretty silly, really.
this is the last bit of this TARDIS scene before we move on to another What the F item, because this is the essence of it. So what's got us charged up? And please, in the thread, tell us what you are triggered by or pleased by. So when he says you want spoilers, I'll tell you your future. Now, a lot of people in the thread have already said this is so undoctor. You die in a prison cell, boiling in anger and poison until your heart packs in at 49, alone and unloved and forgotten. And the Doctor uses all that bile, which is not a good look, I have to say, for your hero.
No.
And he uses and he has saved his 63 years of bile for a man who I think might have killed one person and done some conspiracy theories. And I think this Doctor has lost the plot.
Well, Gatwa has lost the plot in this iteration of his character because, again, it's not in keeping with the Doctor that we know. The moment in the story that is designed to give him agency, give him power and impact, actually lacks that largely because he wasn't really the active participant of the story. Had he been trying to nurture Conrad all along and was a subject of the betrayal, so there was a more personal sense because he was engaging with him beginning to end, maybe. But because of how this scene was slapped in at the end, well acted, well lit, well shot, well written, but it is not in keeping with the Doctor, and it's designed to push a message that I strongly disavow.
And I'm sorry,
Agree.
the Doctor's hardly ever on Earth. You know, that's been the plot for in the past with RTD. How does the Doctor know? Has he been watching him die? How does he know all these little daft details? I thought he was staying in the universe.
That's what I thought.
Silly.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's a plot hole in itself. It's a dramatic speech for an angry man who's supposed to be our hero, and so he's been watching a streamer die in jail. I'm trying to work out what that says about him.
I don't know how he nurtured them by giving them 20 pence. That was his nurturing page. That's all he did. That was his only extent with this character.
Well, can I insert one thought here? Family of Blood. Here you have Tennant basically taking to task the trio of villains or the quartet of villains in that story. But in the end, the speech did not come from the Doctor. It came from one of the arch witnesses, one of those quartet of villains, relaying what the price was. That worked. Why did it work? Because the Doctor wasn't the one giving a vindictive speech. That's why.
I've forgotten that actually. Yeah. Fine.
And well, God, there's so many things, and I do want to move on because I'm surely there's more that everybody wants to be charged up about. So yes,
Can I just think it reminded me a lot of Dot and Bubble, really, because the people in that, if you think about it, they hadn't really done much wrong either. They'd kind of been victims, hadn't they? And they just decided to go off. But then he just decided it was because of racism. It wasn't that obvious to me at the time that it was because of racism. In fact, the first time I watched it, I quite admired them going off to be pioneers like their ancestors. But then I was told that must make me a racist for some reason.
Yeah.
No,
But anyway, it was just like that's the only other scene where he's acted in a comparable way, isn't it? Or overacted in a comparable way.
Character forgot one. You're 100% right about that.
Season 1 and Season 2, I have to say, seem to be wanting to be mirror images. So we've got the episode where I think everybody's a person of colour, and it's going to be the kind of mirror image of the Dot and Bubble that you've just mentioned, where everybody was white. So there's something going on because I mean, 73 Yards was the fourth one in Season 1, and it basically started well in a village. Does that sound like something? And then suddenly it went about right-wing propaganda. That was 73 Yards, and this one was exactly the same. So there seems to be a mirror image, and this is just this meta thing that he's playing at as well. But I mean, his speech is awful. The world carries on. You aren't even a footnote. Now, can any of us Doctor Who fans remember when the Doctor has said stuff to people about humanity? You might have a very short life. You might be very tiny, but you all have a ripple effect. You're all important, and that's positive and negative. And I just think the Doctor saying you're a footnote is actually like it's like a Time Lord being a show off that he can last.
Yeah.
And I don't like it. I actually don't like it. It's powerful.
No, I don't
like
it's horrible.
Mhm.
I love it. I love this scene because Conway big dogs the Doctor here. He goes, man, I don't accept your reality. And look, he's on the wrong side of the reality war. It's a setup for the finale, which I love.
Oh, yeah.
I just think and I already like Mrs. Flood too. I'm on record saying that. So like I'm down for Conway, in my opinion. Like he big dogged him back. He said, man, get out of my face with his lies. You're wrong. I don't care about this.
Was
You're
it a
right,
bit of
Conrad's pushback will only make sense if he comes back later.
Yes, if it's paid off.
Yeah,
If it's
Makes
paid
sense.
off.
Why this episode is like
Yeah.
the
Hold on.
second best episode
Hold on.
in this season.
Yeah, keep an eye on who's talking. That's the only thing, because it's people are going over each other. This is right. I just want to say visually, I don't know if it shouldn't be triggering. A man of color doesn't. It isn't triggering, but I have to say again, when you have a British phenomenon, this Doctor Who, and the man of color is telling off a white man for being the lowest of the low piece of crap. I don't know if this is where we want to be in 2025. I really don't. I think it's dangerous. This is not pulling people together. This is pushing people apart. I'm not saying that's what I'm getting out of it per se. I'm just saying people will use this scene now because people are worried that the British institution that is Doctor Who has been stolen. I haven't gone that far yet. But when you have the latest Doctor, who happens to be a man of colour, really taking down or trying to take down somebody who might reflect what the British majority might look like today, I don't know if that's a really good move by RTD. I don't. Do you know what I mean? I just think, please, we want good race relations, not bad ones, and this is bad. You can say it's progressive and all that crap, but is it calming tension? Is it helping? And I don't think it is.
Progressives usually don't calm the tension.
Usually, when you divide the audience, you're going to ratchet up the tension and you're going to create problems when there had been no problems previously. RTD is very good at creating problems where none existed before. Got to give him his due. He's very talented at that.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, everybody. I've spent a lot of time on that TARDIS scene, but it's the bit that every streamer worth their salt will talk about. Every Doctor Who fan will talk about this for many, many years. Now, let's do a few quicker items on things that might trigger people and might not bother other people, so I can just turn through them. If you've got a contribution, just throw yourselves in there. If you think it's a bit naff, leave it alone. He was asking when they were dating, was he a boyfriend, the Doctor? And of course, oh, no. If he was here, he'd be flirting with you. And I say,
that
no,
bugged me.
that's
That bugged
canon
me.
change. No.
Yeah. No.
Just no.
No.
I'm not triggered by it. I just throw it up as bad writing. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
same.
know. I already
I
know it's
wasn't-
gonna be gay.
One at a time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Sorry, Doug, you were talking there. Did you want to come in? Because
No, I was just going to say no. Sonny was right. No, I wasn't triggered by it, but it just bugged me. It was bad writing. It was unnecessarily mentioned, and it could have been left alone. The whole was he your boyfriend thing wasn't even necessary. But I guess maybe that's the sort of thing you'd say if you're on a date. But no, it was not triggering for me. But as Sonny said, just bad writing. Absolutely.
I mean, Anthony.
Davis is sorry. Yeah, I was going to say.
All right, I'm
Davis
going to bring you in, Anthony. I'm just saying.
Oh, sorry. Cool.
Yeah, go on. Since Wild Blue Yonder, we had that nonsense with, oh, is this what I am now? Do I fancy Isaac Newton? And then we had this thing about I had a long hot summer with Harry Houdini mentioned in Children Ruby Road. Then we've had Rogue. I'm sorry, but this is a Doctor canon change. I'm not triggered by gay. I'm gay myself. But what I'm saying is, you've completely changed the characterization of the Doctor, and I'm sorry, she's lying. She's misrepresenting the Doctor. She says if he
Totally.
was here now, he'd be flirting with a man. Excuse me. No, if the proper Doctor was here, he'd be sorting out some issue.
Absolutely.
I agree. I just have to say, every time this pops up, I keep thinking, Bill Potts.
Yeah.
Bill Potts.
She was a lesbian, you know.
She was?
Yeah, apparently she was a lesbian. Yeah. Yeah, she was a lesbian. That's what apparently happened, yeah.
That's a
But what I did.
personality.
So anyway, so just we did spot these things, and yes, we've mentioned that I don't accept your reality. I was just wondering, as I would maybe what the F kind of whoa item is. Is that a hint of what the final episode might be about? Not about storytelling and reality. It's about the reality war, the war with the streamers. Because he is in it. Those shots are from the finale.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
His
it
hair-
sounds,
Yep,
it
his
sounds
hair
to me
is
like
short.
you're setting it up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I've
for
got
sure.
those posters, and there's other ones about May the 24th and other ones. So basically, he is in it again.
It's going to be so meta, isn't it? It's going to be so meta. It'll date in like 2 weeks. Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, somebody in the thread earlier said this, so it's I suppose it's a yes or no, lads. I'll start with Divan and Dragon. Do you think think tank that he is a member of or leader of is going to be anything to do with this think tank?
That would be an interesting direction to go, but I'm not going to trust that because that presupposes a payoff, and I'm used to not getting proper payoffs from RTD.
Maybe
I'm being unfair.
No, that's what I thought.
So
I don't know what this is, and I don't think so because it was probably a classic reference, but I don't think he'll bring it into the show. I don't even know what this is though.
Okay, this is Robot. Anthony, what do you reckon?
Yeah, same. I think it's a reference, but it's going to play no part in the plot. I think
Okay.
it's just throw it out there like an Easter egg.
Okay. In the thread, they've mentioned Mrs. Flood, and of course, I can't ignore Mrs. Flood in the What the F item because she appears at the end of every episode.
She's awesome.
She's a good.
Oh.
She's the best character. Who's better than Mrs. Flood? You like the Doctor, Doug? Who's better than Mrs. Flood?
No, you win. You win. that you just won the argument there. In fact, I think the whole show should, if it comes back, should be called Mrs. Flood. There you go. No season 3. It's going to be called Mrs. Flood. Oh, actually, Mrs. Flood might be the Doctor. Hey.
Well,
There you go.
she knows a lot about the TARDIS, and we know that from a fair few episodes now. It's ever so big inside, isn't it? Now, she says then that she's the governor. She knows a TARDIS. She says she's the governor. I think with every appearance now, she's not sometimes looking friendly. She's now starting to look like her true form, possibly. So by end of episode 6, she will reveal as some bad one. Now, in the Starbeast said the boss was bothered about somebody with 2 hearts, will be very interested. So she says, I'm the governor. Now, the governor semantically is quite close to saying the boss. I'm just wondering.
That's my theory. That's my theory. I think she's the boss. Or there's going to be 2 things. She is the boss, or RTD, true to form, will even forget about the character of the boss and it'll never be mentioned again. But I think she may be the boss.
And what is the boss? Is the boss the god of storytelling? So it's going to be meta? Or
I like your theory on that one. I think that's quite likely what it'll be.
Some sort of pantheon. She has too much power.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The whole series has been leaning towards meta. If it's not meta, I'll be surprised.
Same.
Say that.
Same.
Now, here we've got a theory. It's nice that the thread are giving us theories. It's funny at this time of night. Lura here. I generally feel she will be a harbinger to Kronos' god of chaos. In the Time Monster, the Doctor says Kronos can open the floodgates to oblivion. And we've all heard the thread. We've all heard the leaks where basically somebody in the transcript says they cross the line to cure the universe of the Doctor.
That's
So
interesting. Yeah, I like it.
yeah, I mean, there's bits there where you get very excited, but I just don't want it to end with something dodgy. But yes, Mrs. Flood, she's going to intrigue us every week. Simon Anthony's still giving it a go. It's not in control of everything, though, is she? Because she did, I think she died with Sutek, didn't she? When he turned everything to dust.
Yeah, she did.
Well,
So-
if we stop and consider, like, Jenna, who was the impossible girl, who was everywhere in time and space, killing one version did not necessarily impact the other versions. So you could well see one version of Mrs. Flood die and it not have an impact on the overall existence of this entity who has fractured herself to be in all these different places and times with different personas.
Well, it could be the Mind Robber, it could be Michael Grade. Mind you, Stephen Braddock, I must say this. And if you like the walk shows of Rachel, remember Stephen Braddock, our walk shows that I do with Rachel on a Friday. We've just rested them for this period. Have a look at them. The Sphinx, or Sphinx, or the Vlinx is rubbish. What does it do when a shriek is running about? It disappears. It reminded me of Davros in the Remembrance of the Daleks. He just goes, right, I'm clearing off, lads. See ya. And he disappears. He's the most useless robot. Bye. At least K9 stood around and, and Creature from the Pit got all them blooming plants around him and everything. He took the hit for the team. Raymond Williams is saying, I'm bored with this unit team. Bored, Raymond? They're understaffed. I mean, you can get in it dead easy. There seems to be nobody there to guard all these folks.
That's crazy. Just let them in the side door and go up the fire escape and they're there. That was crazy.
Well,
where did he get a gun that big?
Yeah. There was a school trip at the front door inside. And actually... Yeah, and that person who ended up being an insider just walked in, but there were no security checks. I thought, God, this is rubbish.
Total rubbish.
And I'm sorry, but Raymond Williams, I'm sure you agree. The old unit used to be a secret base, and it wasn't all show off. Now, if you've got this massive tower in London, well, you deserve to get everybody outside as a lynch mob because it looks as though a lot of. And I want a government inquiry. Kate Stewart doesn't like it, but I want a government inquiry into all that money being wasted because that tower is so wasteful. Because let's face it, where's the security guards? Yeah. Tell you what, rubbish. And are they above a government inquiry? Oh my God, what happened to transparency? So, yes, big one there. But I will say, before we move on too far, is on the what the F, I have seen people saying this, and I felt this. Kate Stewart, brilliant. This is her best performance, I think. I liked her in this. I liked what was going on. I don't like some of the, there's a romance going on in the corner. She stays up late, I mean, for God's sake.
That's creepy.
Yeah. And her dad didn't stay back with the tea lady, did he? No.
Well, not that we know of. We don't know for sure.
God bless him. There's the Brigadier, who gets a mention, of course.
Yes, yeah. Brigadier.
And of course, this was the big other head-to-head. His only legacy was a pack of lies. You should be very careful what you say about my father. He was 100 times the man you are because, of course, you're a nasty streamer.
Yeah. That's such a good point, Brenda. I enjoyed this sequence. I thought she was great, more three-dimensional than ever. But what an irresponsible leader to let out the Shriek to just go at him, put everyone in danger, and his main crime was he was a nasty streamer. I enjoyed everything about the scene, but it just was illogical that she would do that. It was. I don't know what you think. I just thought it didn't hang together.
I agree.
It was a problem for me that she would make the decision to release the Shriek. On the other hand, I almost feel that her being triggered by a derisive remark about her father, who is beloved, just as the audience loves Brigadier, is a nod to the passion of the viewers who knew the character and are very devoted to his memory.
Yeah.
But the truth is, it would have been on a professional level a mistake to release the Shriek. On another level, if there were going to be a successful spinoff, you've got to be able to create nuance. What are the moments or what are the triggers that will allow this character to make a mistake so that you can give her texture going forward? Of course, the sad reality is after the 5-episode War Between Land and Sea, there won't be a spinoff. So they won't really be able to play on that development.
Yeah, and can I just come in here? There's some really good points. Stephen Braddock making one here. Kate employs anyone. I'm surprised you didn't give the Shriek a job there. John Yulden, no military discipline in this unit. Romance between the ranks, even if she's technically not military, it's compromising. It's not allowed. I agree with that. I mean, I fought for my country. I was in the reserves. I defended some sheep and I was motherly. That was it. But you can't have fraternizing in the ranks. No. So yeah, even that's a bit cheap. And the other thing is, Lee Smith, good to see you. Conrad triggered her. She's supposed to be beyond torture. She's a military leader, commander, and she fails on that principle that she just lost her. She just lost it, didn't she?
Yeah, it was a great emotional payoff, and I enjoyed it. But it was not logical. It was not logical at all that she would do that.
Where was the emotional payoff, Doug? Just pinpoint it for me. I need to understand.
She was upset, and because he was dissing her dad, and she was pushed.
What did he say about her dad?
He said nasty things.
What did he say?
Did we watch the same episode?
A pack of lies. That's it.
No, she insulted an icon of Doctor Who, and she said, "That's enough. You're not talking shit about my dad. I'm going to put a monster."
He has to talk shit first. What did he say? The pack of lies.
You do not diss the Brigadier, and he deserved having his arm bitten off. But in all seriousness, the logic of it was just a bit silly. I enjoyed it, but it was a bit silly.
Well, you have to.
Yeah, she put everyone in danger unnecessarily. It was a bit silly.
Well, as Simon Anthony reminds us here, oh yes, Kate's actions were totally over the top, as her boyfriend tells her later. He says, yes, Geneva's going to have a word, and she walks away. Is that toxic femininity in action there? Toxic, not listening. I mean, I liked her in this episode. And
so did I.
She's got flaws, and that's what I like. I like flaws. That's the whole blooming point of drama. But it doesn't make any sense that she releases from the vault something that would kill.
It made no sense whatsoever.
Maybe,
I enjoyed it, but it made no sense whatsoever.
Maybe if we take it as the peak of the crisis that's been created for unit, so it's a cumulative buildup to that moment, and that was just the straw that broke the camel's back. If he had come in and made that remark to start, it would have gone right over her head. But at this point, she's had it up to here. Does anyone remember a scene with Captain Kirk kicking a Klingon over an abyss into lava? I have had enough.
Yes.
And he's trying to save him, and he finally says, "You know what? I'm done."
Yeah, I do remember. That was great. Moment. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'll keep going. Was anyone triggered by... Sorry, where are you coming in there, Anthony?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I just find it... I've never really liked the new unit and Kate. I find it hard to take her seriously. If you go back to the Brigadier, he was sort of representative of an archetype of the military mind. That's what he was. That's what he was there for, isn't it? I'm not sure what Kate's supposed to be. Even in that scene, I know some people like it, but I just think she's over-emotional woman, really.
Well, the scientific
you just wouldn't be in that position, anything like that position. Whereas the Brigadier, it's a very different scaled-down unit in those days. But you can imagine somebody being in charge of that at that time. Whereas Kate, you just think, well, she would never be in that position.
You've got the scientific advisor. Now, whether she's in a wheelchair with rockets or not is... That's not my point. My point is, what did she do in that episode that warranted a wage?
She had a one-liner. that one liner where she was like, maybe she gave a good advice too. She said maybe you should throw him a compliment because he had a gun to her head, and she was like, maybe you should throw him a compliment. She just kept berating him. That was hilarious.
There was
But
actually
yeah.
I might be wrong, and maybe anyone in the comments can confirm or tell me I'm wrong. There was a line that grated on me a little bit. I'm only paraphrasing. I can't remember how it came up, but Conrad had a dig at her about saying, "What are you doing here? Are you collecting your benefits or something?"
Yeah.
Does anyone remember that? That grated on me a bit.
I've got it in a minute.
Yeah.
I've got it in a minute. So,
Okay, excellent.
what I wanted to say about the shot here is, did anybody in the thread and the panel get the anti-vax message?
Yeah,
Because Conrad
pretty
refused.
obvious. Yeah,
The thing is,
I didn't. I'm sure it's there.
it's just there seems to be a debate going on here, doesn't it? That he's RTD's fighting the fights of a few years ago. We've still got an inquiry going on in Britain, so it's not even. I mean, it hasn't even concluded on whether all this was set fair, really, and whether. I have family in Australia. We could not visit Australia we had to have vaccination. A law was telling us we had to vaccinate to travel. And so basically there's a lot of politics involved here, because now, I've talked, in fact, from this streaming over the last year, I've had a few doctors contact me who are very involved in litigation for those who have suffered from the vaccinations. And all I'm saying is, this message about anti-vax is a dangerous one. Whether it worked or not, I'm not getting into that. The point is, nobody surely in the human race should be forced to do anything. And he seems to be making us say, if you didn't do it, you're a thicko, you're an idiot, like Conrad.
Yeah.
I
And it was aimed at streamers, and you think of streamers like Joe Rogan. What he said that he used, obviously, ivermectin, the medicine, but they all said it's a horse dewormer. But now they admit it was effective in the treatment of COVID.
Yeah.
So I think that is in there, and it's definitely the anti-stream. Yeah.
And of course, we had the issue that Conrad had a very bad childhood, and it made him into a nasty piece of work because his mum, I mean, she's white. Good. She's got the right colour for being a baddie. She was white, and she was having a drink at New Year. I mean, that's illegal in itself, isn't it? Apparently. And she was with a bloke, and she slapped him because she said, "Enough of your lies." So, oh my God. I mean, gosh, I'm glad RTD wasn't around in the 70s. Oh, yes. Oops, he was. I mean, oh, what an evil woman. So this episode was so evil. We had an evil streamer who might have killed one person.
No, he didn't die. He survived.
And he slagged off the brigadier with words, with hurty words. And he had a mam who hit him once because he's a little liar. I mean, God, this episode is so up there with, World Armageddon and all the rest of it. Whoa. So parochial. It's a bit like an episode of Hollyoaks, this is ridiculous. So, yes, and there's your message, Doug, about this one's collecting benefits.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah, stealing our taxes while she's lied to us. Well, Doug, he does have a point. Yeah. She's in a wheelchair that fires rockets. I mean,
they have to pay extra for all of that. It all comes out of the tax.
That's true. Money doesn't grow on trees, as my dad used to say.
It does if you're a unit.
But I mean, it's low-hanging fruit if you want to make that progressive argument here, isn't it? Yeah. Which is nasty. Yeah. People are nasty about taking benefits and this, that, and the other. But it's Doug, it's really old news in Britain because sadly we've got a Labour government who are cutting back on benefits. So RTD is on the wrong side of the debate here because it's the Labour Party doing the cuts. So unfortunately, oh dear, RTD, are you going to slag off your own side? And then, of course, you get all these hashtags and you got this whole thing, didn't you, where you saw all these people on streaming platforms kicking off.
He's always big. This is his big sin, making this happen. Is this Conrad doing?
Yeah, this was all so on the nose,
Well,
wasn't it?
Yeah. So I mean, I had to look at it. It's how I've been taught over the last few years. Like every advert, obviously I live in Nigeria, and I look at some of the and I'm looking at some of the people here. And actually, they did have a range of people here. It wasn't just like let's kill and slag off nasty white people. It has a range. It does in that case. I will be fair. But we had so many messages going on. He's appealing to the disaffected youth, and they are listening. So, do you know what? The thing that gets me going, Divine and Dragon, is the messaging is people who have a contrary viewpoint to RTD, really. We are all thick. We've either been disaffected, we are being exploited by somebody like Conrad. We don't have our own mind, bless us. We're just thick. That seems to be the message to me.
That is the message. And the funny thing is, RTD basically wants to be Conrad. He wants everyone to just buy his narrative, which would make people just as thick. Isn't that ironic?
Oh yeah. I mean, I mean, I had to get off that TARDIS scene because I could be on it. But yes, he's captured it. I have to say, I will change that TARDIS speech and just change it to what RTD says sometimes because he's weaponized Doctor Who. We had the Albion.
Can I just say, it didn't. Sorry, could I just come in?
Yes,
it didn't really make sense, that news montage either, because it's got all this anti-stuff fascism on the streets, but then it's got him being given a friendly sort of breakfast TV sofa interview.
Yeah.
Which would never happen, would it? It would never happen.
No. Again, jarring.
It would never happen on the mainstream. Yeah.
No, the BBC. The BBC wouldn't have him on, would they?
No.
I think it was the One Show or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the One Show. Yeah.
They were trying to. I mean, you can tell it was fiction. The BBC had somebody from the right on. So the Albion Party predates people, and people are guessing. But you had the Albion Party, which is a shame. Albion takes you all the way back historically with Britain, but they're having a dig at GB News and Talk Radio. You know where he's going here. He was talking about establishments that do disinformation. And I mean, Davros, we think, what was his motivation for inventing the Daleks? What was Omega's was revenge for being disowned by the Time Lords and left high and dry and being alone. And remember, the Patrick Troughton second Doctor felt so much sympathy for Omega. He actually said to the third Doctor, "Oh, I know, but I don't like to deceive him, and and he's lonely and all the rest of it." Meanwhile, if you're a streamer, the same Doctor apparently just says, burn in hell. And yet he had a grudge.
At 49. Yeah.
Absolutely shocked I was by all that. But I think, I suppose we need to move on a little bit now. And if you've still got your bingo cards, everybody, we need to get on with playing our bingo, our broke hack bingo. Right, so moving on swiftly to Broke Hack Bingo. Sorry, lads, it shrunk you again. There's our blank sci-fi scorecard, and thank you, Doug. I know you did a version of this, and my version I haven't got on the screen there. That's from the well, so I will show you the one I've got, but it only goes big screen. So that was mine. I know we can all have disagreements on this one. I think my take from this is the Doctor didn't cry. I was absolutely stunned.
Yeah.
It was only in it 5 minutes, though, wasn't it? Really? So.
Yeah, exactly. It was so Doctor Light. He probably cried behind the scenes, saying, "I've got not much to say." we have the bad man trope, though. I mean, big time.
Very much so.
We had the timey-wimey regarding he doesn't know who Belinda Chandra is. And we did have a costume change, even though he was hardly in it. He had 2 costume changes, and he needed
3,
a nice,
I think. 3, I think.
He needed a nice white, clean outfit for the end for the big scene with the man he fancied. I think he fancied him actually. I think it was called
I think so.
Sexual Tension actually.
It was Dynamite. Yep.
We had the soap opera moment, which is I'm going to ask you all now, to be honest, about that because I was checking the timings in the first 24 minutes. It was like watching when Doctor Who tries to do a kind of normal life in New Who, you get some cheesy music, some cheesy scenes. I felt as though we were doing a kind of cheap version of Hugh Grant in 4 Weddings,
very much
clumsy with
so.
how he. And I'm thinking, oh dear, is this called rubbish comedy? Is this called light entertainment? Is this Doctor Who?
Yeah, that grated on me a bit. It was kind of necessary, though, wasn't it? Because they were trying to show what I thought. I got sucked in was going to be a little budding romance, and then there was the reveal sort of later in the episode. But it did grate on me. I kept thinking what you say, Brendan, about how he's. I know he didn't write this, but how it's very much a soap, and it came across as a soap.
It was. I counted it. It was 5 minutes of that dating scene, like where it was just where they met and he was just dating her until like
went on.
twist, basically. It was 5 minutes, and it was the different show. None of what they said related to the plot. Like he didn't extract information from her and then share it on his podcast. Like we didn't hear anything about his podcast. He just trauma dumped on her, and then she pretended to trauma dump back, but she didn't say any of the adventures from season 1. She was just like, "Oh, there's so many things that I've experienced, and I can't say it all." And then he just trauma dumps more, right? And that's him manipulating her, I guess. So like, it was just a completely different show, and it was bad.
I agree.
Can I just say what came to my mind? And I didn't know where to place it really, but it's a big discussion item, which is thread-wise as well. Where do you stand on this? I think, and I'm struggling with this version of New Who, obviously, but this is a better episode for not having the Doctor in it.
Yes, that was my point. It was much better because of that.
Apart from the scene at the end, I obviously hated the message, but I loved the drama of it. So apart from that scene at the end, I have to say I was nauseated by the Doctor. You know, that kind of faux camaraderie at the beginning when I'm still adventuring with Ruby Sunday, and they do all this cheeky stuff, and he's that loud lad that you'd want to thump him and think, for God, his pitch is out of kilter with the rest of the human race. He's kind of too loud, too brash, too unreal, too kind of overbearing. He's that person where you think, oh God, does he come in the pub? Oh, let's move out. And I hated that scene at the beginning. Why was he excited about a 50p piece? I mean,
I think it was 20 pence. I'm pretty sure he was. It's my lucky day, 20 pence. He started dancing and then gave it to a kid.
I know. I didn't get that.
I mean, 50p in the Doctor. Why is he so bothered about? This is our lucky. I know we needed to chime in with the lucky day nonsense, but
right.
I think that was it. It was a total excuse for him to just say, "This is your lucky day." It was. The terrible thing is, no, I can't say the word. I got vibes from that scene. They were a little bit P-file, shall we say? Just you take this sweetie little boy. It was. I felt very uncomfortable with the whole scene.
I was uncomfortable with how he talked to it. I mean, he talked it like he's never been a teacher or a parent, because my God, he's like, hello. And I'm thinking, you don't talk to kids like that. They'll think you're a freak.
It was creepy. It's a word I can't say on YouTube, but it was very creepy.
Yeah.
Well, it's unfortunate, but anytime he showed up in the story, it actually hurts it. It's funny. People said last year that the Dr. Light stories seem to be all the better for the absence of Gatwa, and that still holds true this season.
Yeah.
I did not like it when he showed up. I was happier when it was just focused on Ruby Sunday.
Yeah, it took me out of it.
And before I move on, I mean, honestly, Dalek Lives Matter. I could do this stream forever. There are so many things. The English village reference, not a British village, an English village, and there's this anti-English sentiment. The Wicker Man reference. I mean, oh, for God's sake! Honestly,
I like that. I like that reference. But yeah.
Well, I mean, you've got the movie reference, but the English village thing, I'm triggered by the fact that, where are you going with this again? I mean, you're anti this, anti that. He didn't like Brexit happening quite clearly, and he's got his knickers in a twist again. And yet, the Scottish nationalists, the progressives love. But if you're a nationalist, apparently, which is an evil thing, as you know, and you voted Brexit, that's bad. And so there's the goody nationalists and there's the baddie nationalists. It's a bit like being a Doctor Who fan. It's really It's really fascinating. Here's Jess. He's come in the pub. Let's move out. Spot on, Brendan. As my man would say, he can stay out of the snug. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I found him, horrible, loathsome type of person. Didn't like him at all. And that was him being out of kilter, too larger than life. Whereas in the TARDIS at the end, he was honed in much more. And so, I'd prefer him not to be in it. But the thing is, I'm a Doctor Who fan, and I need the Doctor in it.
You do need the Doctor in it. The problem is, he's not the Doctor.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, we're in a different reality, probably. I honestly starting to believe that, especially from the scene from the first episode, the Robot Revolution. We're probably in a different reality.
Right, few quick questions here, everybody. And I won't pick up the Anthony Parkinson one. That's for I will do a Brexit discussion in my spin sphere, but on another day, Anthony. And you please come and join us. Right. Why did Ruby Sunday have a spare antidote for the vomit of the
yeah, what the hell?
Because I mean, I know you want the anti-vax thing, and but why would she need two? She'd already taken one. She doesn't need to take it twice. So why's the Doctor left her with that? That seemed like a real plot hole craziness.
Oh, huge! That grated on me.
Didn't they already know that the creature was hunting him though? It kind of felt like she already knew from what I was going by. Like, I don't know how they knew that.
Yeah. Well, here's my big plot hole I want to ask everybody, because it's really on the money regarding Conrad, because it's all about his modus operandi. Conrad Clark was spreading conspiracy theories that UNIT was a waste of money and da, right? And yet he did see a monster, and he saw a TARDIS dematerialize.
Yeah.
So he must.
I have a theory on that, but you finish first. I'll
No, I'm just saying theory, that. Yeah, there's my question.
I don't know. Okay, it wasn't very consistent, but it seems to me that he was lying to seek attention, because if you remember, he applied to join UNIT. And he was knocked back by Kate, and she made a point of saying that he couldn't be trusted. And I've got a feeling that this whole thing, I don't think he truly believes the lies. I think he's lying for attention. But then it was quite inconsistent, wasn't it? There were moments where it's like he was disbelieving. So I couldn't quite get on board with that. But I think what they intended was that he was deliberately lying to seek attention for himself, and almost in some petty way get revenge for being turned down for his interview at UNIT. Otherwise, why bring it up? But it was quite inconsistently written, and I couldn't quite get on board with it.
Doug, do you know what? Doug, I would.
I think it said he was a grifter, didn't it? So
yeah,
I think that was the message. That he was attention and money. I think. Well, it was inconsistent though. It didn't really make sense.
And he made a lot of money. Yeah.
But Doug, this is I'd be, if I was Conrad and I went for an interview at Unit and I didn't get a job, I'd be angry because apparently Rose Noble got a job and she was only 15.
Yes, that's the point. You just got to walk in there and be someone they like. But yeah, absolutely.
There has to be anti-discrimination laws you can file for that.
Yeah.
So yes,
I would say this is where I come in, Brendan, and say this is a lost narrative opportunity for the character. He lies. He lies for attention. We know that he did not get a good upbringing, but they needed to dig into that and ultimately have the fact that he doesn't believe half of the lies he's spouting as a starting point for a redemption of the character towards the end. Instead, they reduced him to something that was two-dimensional, which comes back to what Doug is saying. They are not consistent in terms of how they're writing his character based on the narrative they want to say. It's unfortunate. Lost opportunity.
Absolutely.
Well, Sonny, they want you to be the 16th Doctor, Thomas McCarthy.
I would kill it.
Yeah,
you would kill it big time.
And he won't look like a bum, like he said the other day about Ncuti. If he gets scripts and stories, don't care about race or either of the two genders. I want good Doctor Who and sci-fi, and Sonny is the Doctor. Paul Richards is pushing back for me and helping me understand this. I've asked the question. Conrad is lying to make cash and empower himself. He was a tax dodger, wasn't he? And he's made an awful lot of money. He's got 3 houses and his man lives in France. So I understand that possibility that even though he knows the truth is there, because as Elvis Jones says, of course, Conrad had an insider who works in Unit to let him in. The insider would have said 100% there's aliens that are real here. So
yeah.
There is that element as well. My other question is, though, I mean, I've got a lot. The lights flickering. This is coincidental, isn't it? Because if you want to... I don't understand. Why did Conrad want to set up that whole scheme of kind of entrapping Unit in a live stream when he had already had an insider?
Why would he fake an alien attack to prove that Unit fakes alien attacks? It's like the whole thing from the get-go. Wouldn't he make more money just telling the stories of Ruby that from season 1 online? None of this makes sense to me. That's why I think he's the hero and he's on the right side of the reality war.
Maybe.
I mean, I found that really weird. I mean, the coincidental light flickering, so they can't have fixed that, surely. So you've got 2 men in a costume who have a kind of tape recording of a noise of a monster, but it wasn't the monster, but it seemed to sound amazing on the TV. How did a whole village get kidded by that? And then all the lighting's going, and you think there's something more happening because there was lighting going. Excuse me. Excuse me.
Well, he had a bunch of people in on it,
but there was lighting. Did you see the lights flickering in the taxi as well?
He had a bunch of people in on it, and he has a large following. I just think I would just chalk that up to like the taxi driver's part of the plot. Right?
Yeah, I think half the village were in on it. Yeah,
he took all of that story from Ruby. He didn't make any of that up. Ruby told him that, like, this is how it works, and then he said, "Oh, okay," and then he just recreated it.
Yeah, that's how I read it. Yeah.
Well, we've got Adrian Sherlock here. Gatwa is the perfect example of a modern man, a camp diva who lets women do all the work. Well, as Raymond Williams was saying earlier, there's no need for him in it half the time. In that episode, because there was no high stakes, the other thing I would have said is the Doctor was just like being some sort of patronizing teacher. He was just ticking us off. No, manners, Conrad, you should have said thank you. And by the way, I don't like your style. You're in detention. And that's why it was interesting that Conrad said, is this an intervention? It sounded as though it was one of my kids who had a bit of sarcasm about them saying, is this actually a ticking off? And I mean, has the Doctor just turned into one of those nauseating teachers you sometimes get who just gives you a patronizing speech? And yes, I know they are out there, by the way. Yeah,
they are out there.
Yeah, they are. I was a bit more on the edge. I think everybody who's heard me knows I'd have been on. I'm polite, but I'd be on the nose. I have no time to waste for kind of niceties. Wouldn't it be worth more to show the monsters after getting her stories? I mean, it would also increase support for UNIT, and everyone goes home happy, says Captain Have Fun. Chattanooga Choo Choo. No, I'm changing it. Every episode he's put out has had some angry guy being a dictator type comic book villain, and it's obvious he's having some political midlife crisis and is yelling at the other side through a show. I know. Yeah. I think you're trying to say it's written for babies, really. Yeah. Ken Parker, would have been better if Conrad saw that it was all real and apologized and wanted to travel with the doctor, but couldn't because he was a bad person. That would have been better. Yes.
Well, I'm reminded of Adam getting the implant and betraying the doctor's trust and therefore having to be left behind when previously they thought there was potential there. That would have been a better conclusion. But he, again, is supposed to come back for the reality war, so they're setting us up for something.
They are.
Well, setting us up for a fall. Adrian Sherlock. Brendan, this is RTD finally having his chance at full expression, isn't it? Think back to Burping Bins, Farting Slovene, and Ursula Pavingstone. That was Mild Davies. This is Angry Davies. It's definite. This is Angry Davies. Excuse me.
Does that shot make you feel uncomfortable, Doug?
There's Bomb handing you some money he found off the floor.
It just makes me feel creepy.
Well, this was there were two creepy scenes in the episode, and they came very early on, and that was a shame. Yeah. The first one is, I tell you what, why can't they make the Autons look like that? Because there was an Auton. Well, sorry, there weren't. There were shop dummies, but there was one at the top of an escalator, and it looked really creepy and good.
Yeah, I remember that.
I was thinking we were going to have an Auton story.
So did I. I thought that was. I thought they were hinting at that, and I would have been up for that.
And this was creepy, and I thought that I have to say that the prosthetics, the movement of that monster shriek was great. I thought this was all good stuff, and it was it was almost like Classic Who with the hand all the time, coming around the door and stuff like that. I thought it was great. I've been asking for that for ages. So well done on that bit. Get some goo on and all the rest of it. We had the antidote bit, but it was a bit too coincidental. The thing is, Conrad Clark, he's this crazy streamer apparently who wanted to take on UNIT and troubleshoot about them and all the rest of it and whistleblow. It was just too coincidental that he's going to see them land and he's going to see Ruby Sunday and he's going to take a photograph and she also then goes to see him for a podcast. I mean, whoa, there's an awful lot of easy dramatic license there. Because he didn't need her, did he? Really? What did he need Ruby Sunday in it for? He was going to do his thing, wasn't he?
Oh my God. He already had it all set up with his insiders and that as well, didn't he? So
shot.
Although we skipped forward a year, didn't we?
Christian,
what was that?
We skipped forward a year at some point. So
yeah, I was just going to say, I think the episode was shot at the very beginning of the season, when they had brought her back. So I'm not sure.
I was watching Unleashed, and apparently it was shot back to back with the Robot Revolution. I thought it was shot earlier, but I was wrong.
Okay, sorry. I know we have to be careful we don't cut each other down here. So go on, Christian.
Well, it doesn't work for me in the end because of the way in which his narrative was set up, the number of contrivances that had to be plugged in order for the plot to function were very awkward and shoehorned in. So it's almost like, hey, let's create a story to give us the back end of Ruby Sunday. We'll make her the focus of the story since people seem to like her as a performer and they like her character, but we can still get our message out at the same time. It just feels like they're trying to do too much and they're trying to do all the wrong things.
Yeah. Stephen Braddock, good to see you. I didn't buy into Ruby suddenly having PTSD, except as a plot contrivance, because she seemed to have no problem. I'm very happy on all her season 1 adventures. But this seemed to be on trend regarding what RTD has been waffling on about last year, which is we're in dark times, mental health, PTSD. Well, let's go there because we need to go there. I don't feel as though she had PTSD. I mean, everybody seems to. I mean, we see this in all our jobs now. People say, "Do you know I've got a bit of PTSD? Do you know what? I'm depressed." And you're going, "We're using medical terms when actually what we're saying is we're having a bad day. Can we just pull back?"
Yeah.
I don't
You're
think
right
she
there.
actually had PTSD because she was going to pubs, clubs, getting out and about. I'm not aware of her sleeping habits, but I think she was sleeping well. I don't think we have PTSD. And so I think don't cheapen it, RTD. I understand what you're trying to say, but don't cheapen it because that makes you just a virtue signaler. And that's a very bad thing, isn't it, RTD? So pull back.
She always seemed quite bubbly after every adventure as well. It didn't really fit very well with her personality. It didn't show her having PTSD. I agree.
And bless, she is young. She's only 20 in this story. I liked. I have to say, last year I was kind of a bit funny about Ruby Sunday, but I liked this episode, Sunny, with her in. I liked her.
You did? I thought she was so bland. This is my first Ruby episode. I've only seen Dot and Bubble, and then I started season 2. So this is my introduction to Ruby, and I was kind of expecting a story. It would have been nice to like see the past monsters from season 1 and tie the adventures into the podcast, but that's too much to ask for, I guess. And I just thought she was a boring, plain white girl. And and I'm like, I like me some plain white girls, but it's still Doctor Who. I thought we were watching Doctor Who.
I don't think she's plain, to be honest. I don't think she's plain, but yeah.
Really, I thought she was just what she does. What does she do?
Well, she has 20 mams, and I mean, can I just say, sorry, I want to get you on the big screen on this one, lads, because please, come on. I've been in lots of meetings with social workers and broken. When I say broken, it's the wrong term. Families are fragmented. Let's put it like that. And I've been in the real world. RTD, you haven't. And he scripts it, him and Pete McTighe, that we have this blended family of 2 mothers, of course, of different colours, because it's a beautiful world. I feel as I'm doing that Coca-Cola advert from 1971. I'd like to teach the world to sing. And then there's an element of that, beautiful harmony and hope for the future. And it's just like there's no problem. It's I say Disney, but I feel as though I'm insulting Disney here. It feels like this Disney idea of families that nobody has arguments, everybody gets on. Are the Sundays there just for comedy? And I'm going to ask this, Sonny, particularly at the moment. Did you recognise that sort of behaviour from them? Because they seemed stupid to me. They were messing on, just staring at a man with his chest in a photograph on Instagram. The granny. Does she?
Yeah.
Are there cultural stereotypes? Do you think, or are they just nice?
It's a very stupid cultural stereotype. Like maybe 70% of it can be accurate. Like depending on, like I'm sure you could find something out there like that, but it's very honestly. I fast forwarded through that part. It was very boring and uninteresting and had nothing to do with the plot.
Yeah. I found it tame, soap opera-ish. Well, comedy. What it was trying to do was a bit of light comedy. Women.
It was just light comedy, but that was part of that 5-minute block of the dating I talked about. Like it just had nothing to do with anything, and it's just. I guess you're calling me that, huh? Okay.
Well, good comedy, if you do it deftly, it's character driven It's a one-off to a situation that both fits the movement of the story and fits the development of the characters or their relationships. It does not take 5 minutes to unfold as a form of sitcom exposition, which that was. So that was badly constructed.
I mean, people are saying when they watch it, I've watched it twice. People were saying the second time they watched it or the third time they watched it that actually they thought his performance had lots of nuance in it, and once you realised he turned, that you could see it. Now I liked his acting in it, but I can't say I saw all these little shades of grey in it.
No.
Because why would he spend all? He said it was a chore dating her. He said it was a right chore. So was the payoff worth it? What the payoff was that they were going to do this little scam in some village, and the whole village was in on it.
I'll defend RTD. He didn't set it up. He didn't set it up, so there couldn't be a payoff. So it was all part of his master plan.
Well, it surprised me because there was no setup. I don't know. Like I came into this podcast saying I like this, and I'm starting to question my own taste now. But I did enjoy it for what it was. But yes, there are so many holes you could fill a room with them.
Well, actually, one of the things
sorry, I was saying I'd have to rewatch it. I think you had to assume so much went on off camera.
Yeah,
to fill in the gaps, really. It's just, what can you do in 45 minutes?
Anthony, this is my weekly problem, which is you make the decision, RTD, to do 45-minute wham bam thank you man episodes, and as you say, we have to do all the heavy lifting and assume. But the trouble is, Anthony, when we have to do a lot of assuming, what I also say is lazy writing, because I have to do all the work and he won't do any explanation.
Well, Anthony's right, and you're right. I would go so far as to say, in a series that is well written, you can construct a powerful story that stands alone in 45 minutes. However, you are not usually in the process of deconstructing 50 years of canon characterization in order to accomplish that goal. So he's trying to deconstruct what's been done before, push an agenda at the same time, and try and tell a story that's cohesive. And you are going to find those are very hard barriers to cross successfully all at once. Now, if he wanted to go back to episodic format and do what would amount to 4 separate 30-minute episodes and allow the story to breathe, maybe he'd be more successful, but not in 45 minutes, not for what he's trying to do.
And Rachel, our friend here, who will be on tomorrow night at 5:45, Pete did not have enough time to make this plot really work. Less than 46 minutes to introduce Conrad, not set up, nothing. Ken Parker, both white males in this episode were baddies. Oh, only 2. Gosh, it's a bad week. So, I mean, honestly, it's not worth watching, is it? This was the other element I thought was good. I'm very interested in what you think. When she was telling him what the shriek did and how it hunted, and the lights were flickering, and it was almost over the top. I think it was a nice surreal way of doing it, wasn't it? And the diorama outside looked almost 3-dimensional. I mean, Jamie was saying this is what Doctor Who should be doing more of. He loved it.
That's what I liked about it. That had so much potential. I really enjoyed the bits in the pub, much like 73 Yards. That there was some nice bits of mystery and suspense and to a certain degree horror. And I think that's why I enjoyed the episode, and I've forgiven a lot of the stuff that we've spoken about, even though I'm starting to question my taste now. But I thought, I thought that this had the potential to be the sort of things we've been talking about before, about smaller stakes, a bit of darkness, a bit of horror, less comedy, and it kind of ticked a lot of those boxes. But then it kind of went off the rails a bit. So I'm a little bit torn about this episode. I did enjoy it though for what it was.
It. By the way, when I'm asked about the Dr. Light episode, there is no reason at all for having a Dr. Light episode this year.
No,
At all.
none at all, none whatsoever.
He's available. He's the hottest property going, says RTD, and we've decided to spurn him for one episode. Yeah, we give him an interesting scene at the end. But isn't it fascinating that yet again we have writers who are more interested in these scenes and stories when the Doctor's not in it? And Pete McTighe, I've got loads of interview notes from him where he said, we really wanted to look at what happens when the Doctor's not there. And I thought, what, again? How many times have they done that already? And it's only New Who that's obsessed. They really are frustrated Big Finish writers. They always want to find the gaps.
Yeah.
Instead of the main event, the main story. I want the main story, not the gap between, when the Doctor went to sleep and woke up again. I want to see the main event. They seem to be more bothered about the minutiae. What did Ruby Sunday eat after the episode with the... No, I don't want to know all this.
Right.
And I think that's the problem. That they're bothered about doing a soap opera plot. And of course, this is the bit we were mentioning. I mean, all this nonsense. This is filler.
Yep.
Why? I mean, we're talking about money and Doctor Who needs a big budget and all the rest of it. You could have had a much smaller cast. All this was froth.
Yeah.
The joke about a flash. The grandma doesn't need to be in it. Please tell me, why is the grandma in it?
It's character development. Now you're supposed to like Ruby because she has a old black grandma. There you go. This is a good show. That's all it is. This is an excuse for character development, which is sad because we can count the list of good scenes on one hand. If you just connected those, make a plot instead of just messing around with no-name actors we're never going to see again, we would be saying this is a good episode.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'd love to know how many families do that. I really don't. I mean, honestly, this is a can of worms. The mother who basically dumped her daughter.
Yeah.
Who remember she dumped her on Christmas Eve. That baby could have died. And now they're having little chit chats. I think that's gone a bit too far. That.
Yeah, it's on the nose.
Yeah. It's RTD's made up hocus pocus nonsense. Which is again not Doctor Who. In fact, it's not even soap opera. This is baby soap opera. Soap opera for kiddies. Everybody holds hands and gets on. Nobody has an angry word, and everybody goes to bed friends. Oh, get over yourself. So all this nonsense, please, honestly. So yes, we had the setup in the village, and I thought she had some good scenes, but I'm not getting everybody agreeing with me. I hear that.
She do. Just show me a good scene, and I'll
all the stuff in the pub was really good. Come on, that was really good.
Okay, but a lot of that was Hollywood smoke and mirrors, right? A lot of that,
of course.
It was good because she did set up the monster finally when we were like over 10 minutes, 15 minutes in by that point. Okay, and she didn't do anything. She just explained. And she delivered it great, but okay, I can do that.
Oh, I've forgotten more plot devices. Tomboy Chick here, thank you. You're forgetting, Brendan, that Ruby's mother had an abusive father, keeping in with the theme of men are evil. Yes, of course.
Yes.
And wasn't she going to go and meet him as well? And there was all that stuff. The helicopter, big budget. You saw it on a meet. That helicopter, how much does that cost?
That was interesting you bring that up because that seemed like a classic case of them trying to find ways to spend the Disney money. Do you know what made me... I'm probably nitpicking, but they flew there on a helicopter and got there exactly the same time as the four-wheel drive. So what was the point of taking the helicopter if the cars got there just as quickly? They both arrived at the same time. So what was the point of the helicopter?
I want to know
apart from the visual sense of it, there was no point of it being even in the plot.
I still want to know.
The alien might be able to fly. Is all I want to say.
I still want to know the point of this scientific advisor who. Oh, but anyway, Mel's on her way to Sydney. you've got a problem down under, Doug, apparently.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, we just had an election, so I think she's probably here for that.
Yeah, so Mel's on her way to Sydney. There's something strange happening in your harbour.
Yeah.
Is it
Wouldn't be
Mardi
the
Gras?
first time. Wouldn't be the first time.
They found out
I
Doctor
think
Who
that's
was
a lead
not
into the spin-off, isn't it? A lead into
Yeah,
the spin-off.
Yes.
I think so, but then I also think that it's probably just a throwaway line that will not even be backed up by anything. They just thought
Maybe.
they felt the need to mention that Mel wasn't there, because I guess Mel probably should have been there, but I guess that's one more cast member they didn't need in the episode, so they probably explained her away. A good writer would have said, yes, there's going to be a payoff to that line, but there won't be. We probably
But a
won't
lot
see
of
her
people
again.
wasn't there, isn't there? Where was Rose? She wasn't there either, was she? A lot of
Yeah,
people
exactly.
wasn't there. She
Yeah,
didn't even mention
exactly.
them all, really.
Thank
And
God.
that little kid, or he's not a little kid, but that child actor that was in one episode, he
Oh, yeah.
disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
he's
yeah.
just, well, he's had to go back to school.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it is a very Please, honestly, he did quite fancy this Stark Tower, didn't he, RTD? So we've got this unit looking
Yeah.
like Stark Tower, but the trouble is, it's only manned by 5 people. So I don't know whether they need the whole building.
No. I get so angry about all the money that's just been pissed away when they could have spent it on so many better things. But it's done now. It's not worth worrying about.
Well, it's one of the things that strikes me when we go to the Stark, unit tower, and we see just 5 people there. If they're in the process of trying to set up a spinoff, all of the regulars who are going to appear in the spinoff should probably be somewhere in the background of the unit tower, so that we are familiarizing them as this is a crossover or spin-off series. It's not. It's totally divorced from that. So that's another lost opportunity if that's the direction he wanted to go.
Yeah, well said. Yeah.
And I think this is too elaborate a setup. This,
Yeah, for sure.
when I watched Unleashed, they were talking about how their movements would be different and their masks would be a bit different. But I have to say, I was just watching it going, "Oh my God, there's loads more of them. A bit of action here, brilliant!" And I was quite disappointed when we had the Scooby Doo moment when they take the mask off.
Yeah, it really was, wasn't it? Yeah, it really was. Those pesky kids. Yeah.
And since we'd had a Scooby Doo dialogue 2 weeks ago, I'm starting to think, gosh, in this series, we've already got 2 Scooby Doo moments when it's kind of, oh, it's the park ranger. Oh, right, okay.
I know.
Cosplay again. Rogue cosplay.
Yeah.
There is an obsession with fancy dress, which, as you know, isn't the real deal. I don't know what RTD's obsession with it is, the superficiality of everything. Gosh. So let's have a go at something else. Let's kind of get you all still on your mettle. So basically, our other little thing we do is this. So it's just in case there's anything I've missed out here. So the classification crests, we'll do a fast one this week on the Matrix metric, so you can pick on anything you want here, lads. Just to remind everyone, I'll make it big just so you can see it, but you can pick on what you want or think is relevant. I'm not going to do the whole lot, don't worry. So whether you think the genre was right or wrong, Doctor Who, Doctor No, whether you think it needed any trigger warnings for age, for this, for that, for whatever. Is there anything you want to pick on, Christian?
Probably the sci-fi drama element of it. We're trying to tap into the drama characteristics of the interminable opening sequences. There should be a category for propagandizing. I'm not seeing that.
Yeah.
We're
very
missing
well said.
one because we definitely need to make that a part of it. That was the whole point once you got to the end of the episode. So sci-fi drama. And well, you could plug in soap opera.
Romance.
Yeah.
False romance. But
False romance.
I've got a trigger warning, which is don't watch this if you want to just find that you've been led down the garden path just on a quick. Because I'm just getting irritated by the like I always said, some world building. You get a bit of jeopardy. There were 2 creepy moments early on. The romance, which I couldn't stand in Doctor Who at the best of times, but if you're going to do it, let me have a payoff. But the payoff was that it was all a fraud. And then I thought, so why did I see it? I mean, I know they wanted to show he was a rotter, but like I said, I've already established how much of a rotter was he. He just does a stream. So I was fascinated on Twitter earlier. Some people were so angry. He's such a vile person. And then I thought, well, yes, he's led her down the garden path. So trigger warning wise, women of a certain disposition who've had rotter boyfriends, don't watch, because obviously he's just going to tell you you're nothing. I don't know. Rachel says not for children. And yet we want to scare the kids and we want the kids to watch. Why are you saying that, Rachel, specifically? What's the not for children bit you are picking on? Is it because it's for all the politics? Is it that kind of thing?
Yeah. I was gonna say, messaging wise, it's not very clear. Like, I wouldn't want to show a child this because you're just gonna be explaining a bunch of stuff that doesn't even have to do with the episode.
Good point, Sonny. That could easily be the case.
I wouldn't watch this with a child.
No, I think there's something about it that's not working for me, and I can't get my finger on it. Apart from it's just not Doctor Who.
Yeah, basically, it's not complete. Like, if we start here at the beginning and go through the episode and try to get to the end, you trip over yourself like 30 times just trying to get to the end of the episode, and then you're just like, well, that was pointless and terrible. But I mean, I guess you might have had fun watching somebody trip a couple times, right? There were some good bits.
That links is it gets on my wick. We see, honestly, how rubbish is Unit that in the Empire of Death and the Legend of Ruby Sunday, they had a harbinger sat at one of the desks, didn't they? Just happened to have a harbinger sat there. This year you've got Jordan Lang, and you can sneak in by the back stairs. I mean, it is just an appallingly rubbish organization.
Well, look at it this way, Brendan. If Unit were a credible organization and they have to keep tabs on all potential threats, they know from personal experience that people who have interacted with the Doctor will at some point end up interacting with him again, and would probably have a team whose task was to keep monitoring former companions just in case something happens. In that case, if Conrad was such a big presence on YouTube with his podcasts, they would definitely have reached out to Ruby saying, this guy is not what he appears to be. We understand you've started a relationship with him. Let's get you up to speed. They are not performing the way they should, given their status.
No,
Yes.
I don't know. I keep with what I'm saying here. I mean, I don't know. There's just something about it that's not working here, and there seem to be. I mean, season 2 seems to be trying to tee up the spin-off, as Anthony said, and that's the wrong way around. The spin-off has to survive on its own, and maybe the Doctor visits it now and again, as it happened in the past with Torchwood and Sarah Jane. But really, focus on the main show, and the main show is not doing enough itself with the Doctor. I mean, if you've got a 5-part series, which is a spin-off, why do we need a 6th one without the Doctor? There's just too much going on.
Well, Brendan, this was bad planning, and I say that because they peeled off money enough for 5 episodes for a spin-off. Don't do that unless the parent show is a success. The parent show is not a success. They should have given the audience 10 episodes for the first season, 10 episodes for the second season, and for that last 5th episode, they would have had money for a Christmas special this year. And if all of this stuff worked well and Disney ponied up the dough, they could then finance another show.
Yeah.
But instead, they got ahead of themselves and thought, hey, the pockets are deep and limitless. The cash will be flowing in. We can start with the spinoffs regardless of the success of the parent show. That is not good planning.
Well, John Yulden's pockets are not limitless. John Yulden, you've been very generous, and yes, there are super chats available for people if you want to get in, because I sometimes miss people's comments, and I apologize. Remember, we have our think tank on Thursdays when we actually do have you as the stars of the show, and put your comments first. And think tank, hashtag, have I got it on the money? So thank you for that, John. But why did he need Ruby? It makes no sense. He had an insider in unit. Lazy writing. John, I totally agree. They obviously wanted to set this script up as, what do the companions do without the Doctor again? And as they're writing that, we think, we need another bad person on the right of things who happens to be a streamer, and we'll have to dovetail them together. And then suddenly it gets all messed up. I mean, if he had an insider already there, and let's face it, they already had the names and addresses of every unit member already. So why the hell he needed to get 2 men in really good costumes and sound effects and have everything set up in a village just to kind of go, nah.
Yeah,
that makes no sense at all, really. I'm sorry.
I'll answer his question. He said, why does he need Ruby though, too, right? Everything after that is useless. He needed Ruby to get the story, right, for his big plot twist revenge thing going evil, whatever. What they forgot to do was like show Ruby talking on the podcast. Like, instead of the diner scene, she probably should have just said it on the podcast, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, that's how he got the information, and everybody knows how he got the information, and then he fakes it, and everybody fell for it, even though we all knew it was fake, or because she said it on the podcast or whatever, right? But instead, we got the scene of her grandmas and some black women, like.
Yeah, we've got Stybox here. I say your name wrong. Sticksboy 73. The insider wasn't going to get into unit into a situation where they would be able to try and expose them. So maybe they had to do something publicly. But you've got to think Sticksboy 73. It's just so contrived that he happens to see a companion or a member of the TARDIS crew, gets a photograph, and she happens to answer his query. Then he does a podcast, and then he can set up his kind of, exposing moment. It's just too contrived. Put it this way. Can I please just say this? If I'd written a script like that and sent it into RTD or JNT, would it have been put on the TV? No. And that's my point. Tomboy Chick unit used to feel like it had soldiers. I mean, yeah, I thought it was a top secret military organization. Now we've got quite a lot of women. Nothing against women, but the women. I mean, Kate has been naughty in this episode. It was interesting, but she broke a lot of rules. She's also fraternizing with Colonel Ibrahim, I think his job is just to hold a gun all the time. And so sometimes I think when Kate is obviously having some moments, Anthony, earlier you said we have to fill in the blanks. Well, I'm assuming sometimes he has to put that gun down. And that's a worry because he's on guard because there's nobody else there. I mean, I don't know. Dormant Assassin, that kid was suffering PTSD, child abuse. He should have gone back and helped him as a child. Yes, I have to say, very, very good point. He had more sympathy for Davros as a child than he did this lad. And remember, the David Tennant Doctor, the 10th Doctor, had sympathy for the kid in 1953 when he had an abusive dad. Remember? So why is this Doctor suddenly so hit full of hate, and that's not a doctor, by the way. For him,
Yeah, well, Brendan, look at Capaldi actually had sympathy for Davros as an adult and was willing to surrender some of his regeneration energy.
Yeah.
It's like, this is not the doctor, period. Gatwa is not the doctor.
No, so there you go. There's the full crew. That's the full unit. That's why they need an 80-floor building.
I know.
I'm going to start the government inquiry now. Where's all this money going? So, I remember Ruby's part-time. The lady in the wheelchair apparently is scientific, but to me, she just does one-liners and should be doing the stand-up comedy circuit. Colonel Ibrahim is modelling himself on an action man. I don't think he does anything but hold a gun. Kate Stewart has daddy issues. I mean, this is a problem.
Your spinoff.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking, I know why did they open the heliport thing? I mean, the wind all comes in. I'm thinking they've got so many problems. I mean, the TARDIS landing last year, and then Sutek landing on the. I mean, honestly, there are so many problems with this unit. I mean, shut the windows, I'd say. And then we had sisterhood, didn't we? That was the other thing on my bingo card. We had girl power. It was amazing. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with all these things in a drama. I just don't know why they're in Doctor Who. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's part of the reason this has the RTD2 stamp, and every time I see any of these elements, I'm taken out of the shows. I cannot suspend disbelief while I'm watching these episodes. I can't.
No. I mean, it's funny that we're going to have the end of series called The Reality War, when I'm thinking I'm not seeing realistic Doctor Who. I'm not seeing the reality of what Doctor Who is. What I'm seeing is, I don't know. I just, it seems a very, very different show to me. So the other thing, lads, I normally ask you before we finish, and the thread, of course, is anything that is concerning you about the state of Doctor Who, having now seen 4 episodes, the longer term picture. And we call this item Night Terrors. Here we go. And of course, Brendan, ever the poet, double, sci-fi rubble, all concern and canon trouble. Yes, our night terrors. So, Christian, is there anything that, you'll go to bed, you'll go shopping tomorrow, you'll do whatever else, but what's troubling you still about Doctor Who? What's the main thing for you?
Beyond it not being Doctor Who, the build-up for a payoff, which is probably going to be a huge letdown when we witness it, as we get closer, and as we've seen the character of Conrad, and we have the title, The Reality War, I have a strong sense that we're building up to something that's going to let everyone down and will be even more meta and on the nose than we've seen previously. And I just have very low expectations. It's going to be painful to watch. That scares me.
I mean, Lee Smith is saying here, meta terrors and dormant assassin. Can I just say, because I've got to be careful, because I'm always nitpicking. I did it in teaching and everything, I'm a perfectionist. But overall, in many ways, I liked the episode more than the others, mainly because it wasn't written by RTD. I keep mentioning RTD, but it clearly had a better standard in many respects. It's just it wasn't Doctor Who, that's all.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, Pete McTighe, if he wrote that scene with the Doctor at the end, it was dramatic, tick box there. I'm happy about that. It was a Doctor-defining moment. It's just that the message was just too on the nose and too divisive. That's the problem there. But yeah, much better than a lot of them. But I have to say, lads, am I being unfair here?
No.
In the RTD2 era, I'm not. When are we going to get a Doctor Who episode when it stays in the same tone all the way through, and we don't have a game of two halves? Like I said, I think this episode was very like 73 yards. We were building up a bit of creepiness, and then we go right-wing propaganda nasty, and then it's a game of two halves. Can we just have one story where it can be creepy, like the horror fan rock, all the way through?
Dot and
It
Bubble.
was almost last week,
Yeah.
wasn't it? I think almost it kept the same tone, apart from the silly
Yeah.
dancing around and getting dressed up
Yeah.
in the TARDIS. It maintained a tone after that. I think that's the closest they've managed in RTD2.
Yeah.
But today, I
Yeah.
agree. Today's more like 73 yards. It was all over the place, right?
I would say Dot and Bubble and Lux kept the same tone. It just wasn't the tone y'all wanted. It wasn't serious the whole time.
Maybe.
There was some
Maybe
comedic
Lux,
moments, but I think those actually
Mhm.
kept the tone, and the plots on Dot and Bubble and Lux actually like make sense from start to finish. Even if they're not good, they made sense from start to finish, and there weren't a bunch of plot holes like the well or this episode.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean,
Fair point.
Rachel. So go on, Anthony. You carry on.
No, I just say that's a fair point, but I'm not sure about Dot and Bubble. Just the ending, I think, came out of nowhere.
Yeah, that was a whiplash ending
from
too,
that.
but that was less than 5 minutes of the episode.
Yeah.
I mean, Rachel's saying it felt a relief to watch a story that wasn't written by RTD. I think it shows that we need to go back to producer and writers. I've seen a few people agreeing with you, Rachel. I totally agree where we are here. It is a relief. It's just not a relief that it's got nothing to do with Doctor Who, what I'm watching. Go on, Christian.
I wanted to add this one element. Let's say that the writer had produced a story, but in the story, in a very blatant way, he was critical of all of the policies RTD supports. Would that episode have passed muster? Would
No.
RTD have allowed it to be aired or
No.
produced?
No.
I don't think it would have happened. So therein lies the problem. Although RTD may not have written the lion's share of the script, it still has to have his stamp of approval, and so there still have to be elements within it that he approves of.
Yeah,
Which
you're
means-
spot on there. Yeah.
Anything that comes out of an RTD studio is going to be problematic at best.
Is Adrian Sherlock... Now, there's two people here I want to bring in at the same time and then just ask the panel. Adrian Sherlock says, this show is so far removed from Ark in Space or fan rock, it's like there's no way back from this era. And then just after that, let's have a look. Where was it again? I've just missed it. Sorry, I've missed the other one out. But basically, there's an element where it feels as though... Oh, that's it. Sorry, I apologize. Adrian Sherlock continues. This culture, this show, and this society no longer feel like they're recognizable to me. I feel alien now. And we've got people different ages here on different land continents. I know what he means. Am I wanting something that's just never going to happen, which is a horror fan rock but made with 2025 production standards?
I think you are. I think this one had so much potential. If they could just avoid the desire to be clever, and I use the word clever in inverted commas, and preachy, I think we could have had something really successful here. But they can't help themselves, and I think that's all down to RTD.
What do you reckon? Go on, Christian.
I would take a step further. Doug is right, but I'd say that the BBC is also part of the problem, because the BBC, as the property owner of Doctor Who, will choose the studio that they will sanction the production with. Well, if RTD's not doing it and they have to find someone else, they'll find someone who's cut from the same cloth. I don't think under the current BBC banner that we can get anything positive.
No.
I think the time comes in at that as well. If it was a pure streamer like Black Mirror on Netflix, an episode can be 50 minutes, it can be 60 minutes, it can be 90 minutes. But when you're stuck to BBC schedules, it's got to be that 45 minutes, hasn't it? That's a problem.
That's a really good point. Maybe if there is a future, and I say a big if, maybe that's the way. It has to be completely streaming and just
Yeah, that is one way, I think.
take BBC out of the picture, get them to sell off the property, or maybe have a share in the profits, or however they can decide on it. But yeah, take it away, make it a streaming thing, and give it a little bit more creative freedom and a completely new production team. And I think maybe we'll have something. Will it happen?
It's a very
Probably
dated idea being stuck to a Saturday night
Yeah.
schedule, isn't it? It's a very dated
It is.
idea for
It
something
is,
that's
yeah.
really good. No.
Yeah, yeah.
You see, Chibnall moved it to Sundays, and that didn't quite work. I mean,
No.
I won't put the blooming ratings thing up. I do it on most of my streams, but you can see the line graph long term is bad, and you can't blame a showrunner for trying something different to try and break that line. But I don't agree with the difference has to be a completely different show. Sonny, on Night Terrors, is there anything concerning you about current Doctor Who overall?
The only thing concerning me is the actual stories, because they're not complete. They're not full stories. They're not even like ideas almost. Going from beginning to end on some of these episodes are getting really tough for me since The Well. Like this one in The Well has been really tough. And I don't think the next episode is going to be better, judging from the preview I saw. And I don't think the Eurovision episode is going to be better, judging from what I've heard from that. Right? I'm just episodic wise. Like the stories just isn't there. What's exciting me though is the meta stuff. That's the only sense of plot I have to hang on to in these episodes. And like by the end, I think the reality war, I'm not going to say I'm going to be happy with the payoff, but I think there's going to be something there for me that I can actually see a story from and get it kind of excited for. But I'm not excited to sit down and like actually watch these upcoming episodes until the finale.
I really hope you're right about the payoff, because that my concerns mirror Christian's exactly. But I hope I'm wrong and there is a payoff. I would love it.
Dude, Conrad's going to come back and he's going to be awesome. He's been the best character so far. He's been so Chad. He's been the best character. He's going to come back and he's going to make fun of the Doctor some more. He's going to punch him around. It's going to be awesome. And he's going to win the reality war.
There he is.
I think there's going to be a romance, actually. I think there'll be a romance between Conrad and...
This is what he looks like later. I'll show you the... there it is. On the big screen there. So there you go. Questions cause problems. Work hard to preserve our world. Everyone has a role to play on May the 24th. Are you ready for May Day? So there we have.
I am ready for May Day. Yeah.
I'm ready.
I'm going to do my part.
They are really... Now, Mrs. Flood released him from his prison cell.
Yes, she did.
And she's protecting the Doctor. Well, I'm assuming she's blocking the TARDIS from landing on May the 24th. And of course, he's all over May the 24th. So is this just, as I said, a reality plot to do with streamers and right-wing propaganda and conspiracy theorists? I was hoping it was going to be a bit Matrix-y, but maybe not. That'd give me a night terror because it's not up my street. That you see, that's not.
Yeah, same.
Not what I want. So I found it really funny that we dropped off Ruby and he was all in tears, and then in this episode he just gets his knickers in a twist about betraying her, as if I think he's got a bit of guilt. You had, where's she gone? Has she been sacked? I hope not. That would be shocking. She was nowhere to be seen. So, of course, you have all these stodgy casting. Yep, you were saying, where was he? I think he's been taken to Borstal. I mean, Mrs. Flood got on with the granny, but no longer is Mrs. Flood with the granny. That's a shame. She had good company then to make cups of tea.
True.
So yes, honestly, lots of problems there. So just before we go then, has anyone got any last thoughts of that episode? When we look back, we've not mentioned something that you really wanted to get off your chest as your reaction to that episode. Christian?
I think we've covered all the bases quite well. I keep going back, and I'll say it again. Lost opportunity. There was the potential of a good story here. It was not executed in a way that works. It drives me batty because just the right tweaks with the plot and the dialogue, and you've got a story that's functional, and they drop the ball every single time. Why am I surprised about that?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I was gonna say that myself. I was gonna say we've been saying this literally since season 2 started. There have been so much potential here every single episode.
I know.
Like, get rid of those expectations, please.
Yeah.
I think I'm concerned that lots of somebody in the thread said this, that basically each episode is some nice scenes, possibly if we're lucky, but they're not making a story and they're not making an event. And we're halfway through the season now, and I don't feel that excited. I do have a little bit, my heartbeat increases slightly when I see Mrs. Flood in these one-liners almost. Because, but the trouble is, it's like he's hijacking. It's like every episode is hijacked by a Mrs. Flood great one-liner, and the memorable bit is her, and that's the only thing that's making it important. The rest, it's just, is it an important story or not? Not really. If you missed it, does it matter? Well, as long as you catch the bit at the end, it doesn't matter. It's
it's I can only mirror what Christian and I were talking about privately. One of his concerns and mine, when we watch the show, we keep waiting for the moment where they bugger it up. So it takes us out of enjoying it completely, because we wait for that moment where they're going to bugger it, and they inevitably do. Having said that, when I first watched this for the first time, I did enjoy it, but I didn't have any expectations. I didn't have my critical hat on. But when I watched it the second time, all the points you made were just there and some more. So yeah, I'm a bit concerned about them sticking the landing again, but I guess we'll see.
Isn't this the problem, Anthony? That we're Doctor Who fans, and Doctor Who fans don't watch one Doctor Who story once in their life. We tend to like to go back and watch them all again and again and again. And the trouble is, as soon as you watch any new Who episodes once again, it starts, as Doug said, fall apart.
I think you can't look at it as individual stories, I think, because they're trying to serve these various overriding season arcs or 2 season arcs. And if it was amazing at the end, you suddenly went, aha, everything fitted together. I mean, that would be great, but it's unlikely, though, isn't it? I kind of gave up on that after Empire of Death. When you just watched
so did I.
Yes,
so
because
so if you look at it as all one big season, the 2 seasons, and it does pull it off at the end, well, that'd be quite a feat, really. But I can't see.
Anthony, I mean,
I bought a cinema ticket today. So.
Well, have you? Oh my God!
Yeah.
Wow.
Hold on. Everybody in the thread. Everybody in the
amazing.
thread. Let's have a look at this. This is what somebody, a Doctor Who fan who's actually got a cinema ticket looks like, because we normally see empty cinemas. So you're gonna go and
Good
watch.
on you. Good on you.
I just want to write about the experience, as I've been doing episode by episode reviews. So I want to write about the going to see it, who's there, and what the reaction is, things like that. So,
Anthony, can I just ask a different type of question? Because I've never seen it almost in the flesh somebody's gone to the cinema. Can I just say, you pay the BBC license fee like I do, and you're going to the cinema to watch what you can watch with your license fee at home. Why?
Just for the experience, and I've been writing episode reviews, so it'll be quite a good final one to write about the experience of going to see it with other people. What sort of people are there and how they react and all that stuff. So
you might be on your own.
Exactly, it's a good
No,
experience.
quite a few seats. I was surprised actually when I was picking my seat. There's actually quite a few gone.
How many?
Already.
When I say how many, when you were cooking, how
I don't know.
full
There
was
was
it?
a fair few. It wasn't like empty.
Right. Okay.
Maybe 25%, something like that. So,
Okay.
I didn't
Okay.
count them, but, yeah.
So okay. I mean, it fascinates me how this works. I know a collective viewing of it as a Doctor Who fan might be something. I'd have hated watching Day of the Doctor in a cinema, and the moment Tom Baker appears as a curator, I heard that cinemas all cheered, but I like to just enjoy it myself. I don't want to hear clapping and all the rest of it. It all goes very sitcom. Oh, it's like I don't need that buzz. I had a buzz. I mean, my heart was nearly beating outside of my rib cage when I saw Tom Baker come back.
Don't worry, Brendan. No one's clapping in the Gatwa theater.
Hey, maybe Tom Baker comes back in the finale. Hey.
Oh no,
Tom Baker's not putting his face on this series.
Doug, they have said things like Fugitive Doctor or Geordie. The rumors abound. So Anthony, when you're in the cinema and you've got your popcorn and you're there for the experience, and say Jodie Whittaker appears and the Fugitive Doctor, are you going to be ecstatic?
Oh, you're going to walk out.
Very much so, yeah. It won't be popcorn. I'll take wine gums from home bag and it's cheap.
Yeah, you might need some strong stuff, again. So, yes. Anyway, so that was our... And I'll be up in a few hours, as you all know. Me and John will be up again with our ratings analysis. And then at 5:45, we'll go again with our full analysis. The scores are already coming in. The burning issues are already coming in. And of course, Sonny, you were on our Children of Time, which was a scream last week. It
was good. I really enjoyed that one.
So I just want to kind of give everyone shout outs. Divine and Dragon's got nothing to shout about. He's still teaching. He's still busting a gut, good man. Sonny, do you want to tell us about what you're up to on your channel?
Yeah, I probably go do a live stream after whatever tomorrow's episode of the Sensphere would be, as like a sort of post show. And then other than that, expect a video coming from me within a week.
Right, and we'll expect Sonny on Children of Time on Tuesday as well, of course.
I look forward to that.
Doug, of course, he's very shy and quiet and never shows off. And he's got two channels because he's a big head. And he's one of his channels is doing very well. He's not going to tell us about that one, are you?
No. I have two channels. I have a very, very tiny channel called Boomer Doug where I talk about classic movies and TV, but for what was meant to be a bit of a laugh, I started a second channel totally devoted to the Old Man from U.N.C.L.E. series, and it has gone off beyond my wildest expectations. There's a lot of us boomers out there, and it's called Always Say Uncle. If you're into 1960s spies and Man from U.N.C.L.E. specifically, come and say hello. It's lots of fun. Lots of clips. I've managed to get lots of clips. I have to take this fine line of being copyright blocked, so they're usually short clips. But lots of people are loving the nostalgia, much like Doctor Who. It's taking them back to their happy childhood, so it's been lots of fun and a huge surprise to me. It's gone crazy.
And Anthony, it was good you joined us. You write reviews, don't you? Where can people find your stuff?
Oh, you put a link in the show notes, it'd be appreciated. The ones I sent you, yeah.
Okay, then. Just if you remind me, because I'm. But I will try and do that because he writes reviews, and so it's all to the good. We're all a community here.
I'd like to read them, definitely.
People are still joining us, and that's lovely. Please make sure you like and subscribe. Do you know what? It's word of mouth. It's word of mouth. Please, if you've got a Doctor Who friend, and we've all got a few nowadays. It's a different world. Repost, tell them, just say you want to check out this Sensphere, they're crazy, and that's it. That's all it works. So everybody, thanks for your time tonight. Thank you all, and should we do it again tomorrow? I suppose so. See you later, everyone.
Bye-bye.